Welcome to So You Want to Be a Real Estate Agent. If you are trying to evaluate whether real estate is the right career for you, wondering whether you are doing the right things to launch into quick success, or looking for tips and tools you can use today to become a more productive agent, this is your podcast. Welcome to So You Want to Be a Real Estate Agent. I'm your host, Meredith Fogel, and this is season 4, Learning from Legends. I'm really excited today to have Paula Clark with us. Paula has been an agent for quite a while. I'm going to let her tell you her story, but she runs the Paula Clark Group in northern Bergen County, New Jersey. She has a team of 12, and she has her own office within Keller Williams. She's located about 30 minutes north of New York City, so a suburb of a major metropolis. And I'm really interested for you to hear Paula's story and learn about how she does business and her insights. So Paula, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, Meredith. So
Of
nice
course.
to see you today.
You too. So you were saying right before we started podcasting that you've been running around in this busy market, and I know you've experienced lots of markets. So tell everybody, when were you first licensed?
So I became a licensed realtor in 1995, and I dibbed and dabbed, still was raising my boys, and then decided, you know what, I'm going to do this full time in 2001. So right before September 11th is when I started, little months before September 11th.
Okay, so I'm so interested in this piece of your business that was before then, because you said you dibbed and dabbed while you were raising your boys. And I know that is something that some agents feel concerned about. Can they actually do this while raising children or having like another focus? What did that look like for you? And how much business were you able to produce while you were raising your kids?
That's a great question, because a lot of people always ask, and when they want to join my team, if they can do it part-time. And a lot of realtors do work part-time. But in my opinion, it doesn't really work. It really wasn't until I decided, okay, I'm going to do this full time, is when my business started to grow. And, just think about it this way, and this is what I always say. If you were to hire an agent, just pretend you're the buyer or the seller, and that agent said to you, well, I work part-time, so I'll get back to you this afternoon because I have my other job from 9 to 12. Well, I don't think that really works. So in my opinion, I did it. I did rentals. And I remember I was at a school trip with one of my sons and the phone rang and I was like, I can't do this. This is just really hard. Mm-hmm. And I remember having a conversation with my husband and he said, just sell one house a month. That's all. We'll put that for the college kids and that's it. Because he was, the breadwinner at that time. Mm-hmm. So I said, that's too much pressure. Now we sell one every other day. But, we had to make a decision. And when the kids got older in 2001, I said, okay, I like this. I think I can do this. And I need this amount of money to start the business, because in the first couple of years, branding, putting all this money into my business, we didn't really make a big, return for a while. Mm-hmm. When I looked at my P&L, I spent, I think, 1 year, $100,000 on marketing, and I think I made 120 net. So I said, that's where all the money's going. But I did everything right in terms of branding, and my name was everywhere. That was huge, just to get your name everywhere.
Absolutely. So you invested in your business, and I think it's so fascinating. 2 points you brought up here that I want the audience to think about, that I think people don't always think about enough. One is having money set aside to start the business. How important is it, do you think, for an agent getting into the business, or like you did, entering it in earnest, to have some cash reserves to invest in their first year?
Well, it's huge, because if you have to think about, everything is consistency. So in your business, if you send out a mailer that might cost $3,000, but then you don't send another one out because you don't have the money, well, that 3,000 is wasted, because it's either consistency. They have to see your name every single month. We ramped it up as time went on, but we were sending consistently mailers out. Everything was on print, so I was made sure that I was in the papers every week. I started color with our community paper where they only had black and white. I always stepped outside the box. How can they make me? How can I make myself known? I did things so differently than any other realtor. I remember one of my first ads. It was really funny because I had gone to a conference and they took a picture of me on a surfboard. That was when internet was just coming into play, big time for realtors. And I had a phone and I was on the surfboard, and I put the line, surfing the web, call Paula Clark.
Oh, so cute.
And I put that in every paper, paulaclarkrealtor.com, and people would stop me. I didn't know you were a surfer. I'm like, okay, that's crazy, right? But it got my name known. They saw my name. They said, and they kept asking, well, who's Paula Clark? Because I had come into a totally different market. When I started, I was in about a half-hour market from here that is a totally different market. So when I came and moved more north with my children, I had to start new. And I started as an assistant to a realtor that happened to be what we thought was the top realtor. And I looked, but I listened to every little thing, and I said, you know what, I could do this. So the first listing I ever got was a listing right across the street from my house. And I was so excited, and I just was all in. And then I took that and I sent cards. I made cards myself in the office. I printed them however else I could do it. I knocked on doors. I did every open house you can imagine. I listened to every top realtor. And then I remember I started with, at that time, was Howard Britton. I don't know if you know Howard Britton, but anybody that's been in this business for a really long time, you need a coach, right? And so in 2003, I got a coach with Howard Britton. I met so many other people. It's who you are around. It's the people that you surround yourself with. I am a positive person. I will not listen to these people that are in the office all day talking about, oh, did the phone ring? Oh, no, I got nothing. Oh, I didn't do this. I didn't. And they complained. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I had a broken leg at one time. I hobbled to the office, had my leg up, and I got a walk-in. I went to a house. I never, ever would give up at that time we did uptime, where you sat in the office and the calls came in, right? So if I had to be somewhere Tuesday, 12 o'clock in the office, I never gave up that time, because I said, you know what? That's my time. I'm not giving it up. That's my time. I hobbled to the office, had my foot up, and I got $1 million listing at that time.
Gosh.
So, you just can't make excuses, and you can't complain, right?
Right.
That's just not me. I just went full force forward. That was me.
All the right things. So many good lessons for people there. One, I think I'm going to go all the way back to when you talked about your marketing and branding yourself at the beginning. So you said $100,000 was what you put into it. You made 120. So that was, I know it wasn't, a huge return, but you did have a return. You made an investment on that. And clearly you kept it consistent, but you used the term P&L, which is profit and loss for those who don't know. Hopefully everybody listening knows. But I will tell you, so many new agents don't even think about looking at something like that when they're beginning their careers. Did that come from having a husband who was in the financial arena, or was that just the way that did you learn that, or how did you?
Well, that's a great question. At the time, I didn't know it was P&L. Okay. I'm looking back and I'm calling it P&L, profit and loss. At the time, I just knew, wait a minute, when we did our taxes, how much money did I make last year? And I'm like, what? And I said, well, I paid this. I did the open house. I ordered food. I did this. I sent out 5 cards. I had to do this, and all the things add up and you don't realize it. Oh, and taxes. We have to pay taxes. Oh, yes. So let me have to pay taxes now. Okay, so there goes that money. So it's like people have to really think and sit. And the one thing I have learned, because so coaching with starting with Howard Britton and now Tom Ferry, I'm with Tom for 12 years now. You learn you need to look at your numbers and look at every single thing. So now we're at a point where we look at our numbers so closely. I have an amazing DOO, director of operations, and we look at our numbers all the time. And for 2022, we were at, I think it was 78% profitable.
Wow.
So for a team of 12, that's damn good,
That's
and
amazing.
and yes, and we did the best, amount of sales ever.
Wow.
So that is very huge to me, is to look at every year we look at what do we have to cut out, what's not working. I'm the first to try every new glitchy, sparkly thing, anything new. But now I kind of calm myself down and I say, well, let's see, is that going to bring me a good ROI, return on investment?
Yes. And
And
let's talk about that. I'm sorry, go ahead, Paul.
No, that's what we have to look at. When you're starting your business, you need to brand yourself. That's huge. Your name. I love getting signs on every major road because that's branding, right? So I didn't mind getting those listings and then put under contract. They see you put under all the little details, right? And then when you come to where you are and as you grow, looking at your numbers to see, okay, what do we have to add? And that's my next topic, which we could still talk about. But what do I need to add to have my business grow? How did I get to be from an individual agent and then all the way up to 12 people?
Yes.
And why?
Absolutely. So let's hear that story. And as we do it, if you can share with us when things came to you that seemed like maybe it was something new, a new idea, or something that felt like one of those shiny objects that you wanted to kind of try out. How do you evaluate? Because I think that's such a trap that agents fall into all the time. Experienced agents, newer agents, any level. We have things, put in front of us constantly that are both an expense, but promised as a huge ROI. How do you evaluate before you pour money into something, whether it's...
Well, sometimes it's trial and error. The first thing I would say is, being involved in our group, like we mastermind every week, right? And we share ideas, and we have a Facebook group, which is great, which is how I know you. And we say, anybody ever heard of this? What's your experience with X? You go to these our training sessions and people have tried things. And so I have been burned many times and have lost a lot, but, I look at things as carefully as I can. And I always say, there's so much noise out there. Everybody wants our business, right? Everything from mortgage people to from Zillow when it started, realtor.com, everybody's putting money in, and hoping for a return. So now I try not to get put into a contract. I say to them, I need to do a trial. Give me it depends. Some things might take longer. So I might say in 3 months, if this is not working for me, I'm dropping it out. If I decide to go into something for a year because maybe it's not that expensive. And I said, there's 5 people I know that are doing it with success. I might try that, but it has happened where that worked for those 5 people that I knew and are doing successful. But I realized that everything works differently in everybody's business and where they are. So it might work in Wisconsin for someone or in California for someone, but it doesn't work here in New Jersey for me. So, that's with seminars that we do. What day of the week do you do it on? So all of that is also trial and error, right? Like Seller Seminar, which Jay is big on, right? And we got that all from Jay, right?
Yep.
And then Maureen does them now, and she started to do them on a Saturday. Well, I tried it on a Saturday, it didn't work. So now we're doing it at night. So it's all trial and error throughout the whole process. And I look at things very carefully. And then I also have to run things through my director of operations because I can't make decisions on my own anymore because I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have people that keep you in check. That's
absolutely. And the
very
person
important.
who's looking at the numbers is a very good person to keep you in check. That makes complete sense.
She loves Google spreadsheets. Let's just say that.
I was going to say, bless her.
Oh, she loves those Google. We have a Google spreadsheet for everything. It's all on board. And before COVID, we had a huge whiteboard in the office because we were coming in the office. Then when COVID hit, we had to go virtual. So we started creating these Google boards. Well, now that's all we use. But it's great because you could go in from anywhere. Our team can go in from anywhere, see where we are, what dates, what numbers, where we are, what's coming on the market, what is going to be sold. Did they do a certificate of occupancy? Is a deposit in? Whatever it is, it's all there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very important tool. And I think anywhere you are, if you have a team, large or small, Google is a really good resource for you. So let's take you back because for many people listening, probably having a director of operations feels like a far cry and a future, success piece for them. How did you decide that it was time for you to go from solo agent to team?
Well, I will say that I think 12 years ago, because that's when I started with team, I was going to Tom Ferry, introduced by my son. And that's what they were. And I was listening to numbers that were just exploding, numbers of what people were doing. And I said, how does one person do that? That's impossible. I can't do that. There's just no way. So the first thing is you, of course, need an assistant. Now, I always had an assistant, but how was I utilizing that assistant? Right? You need to learn to delegate, take things off your plate. What are you willing not to do? What is not your best ROI, right? What's my best asset? That's being in front of people and getting listings. I was working with buyers and sellers. When I stopped working with buyers is when my business grew. But now I need an agent that's going to work with those buyers that I get from the sellers, right? So that was my next hire. And then then we were exploding and it was just growing. The business was growing. And I said to then she was just an assistant. Now she's my director of operations.
Oh, okay.
And so 10 years ago, she was just my assistant. And I said, Katie, what do we need? We need a marketing person. I can't do it all because she was doing that too. Yeah. So she started to look for a marketing person. We started getting resumes. And if you ask me, I would have not hired anyone. She knew. And that was our first marketing hire. And that was 8 years ago. And she's been with us and she's still with us.
Wow.
What do we need now? Now we need a marketing assistant because she's overwhelmed with social media, the internet, everything, Facebook, whatever it is, TikTok. So we need that. Now we're hiring. Okay. So it kept going like that. Okay. We need another buyer's agent. And it just kept growing from there. And I remember being on the phone with Tom Ferry. And I said, Tom, and he knows my business well. I said, what do I do? He goes, you need another person. You need to hire another person. Now, understand the first thing we think of when we're starting a business is how much is this going to cost?
Right.
And your stomach just says, oh, another salary, another salary, another salary. But every single time we did, our numbers just doubled. So from the time we hired, when we couldn't break, let's say, could never break 22 million in sales for the year when we were 3 people. And now I have 5 buyers agents and only 3 admins, and then ISAs and VAs. We're close to 100 million. Wow. You just can't, and with a 78% profitability. So that is why you need to just do it. You need to get the right people. Get the right
and that's
people.
exactly it, the right people. So that's what I wanted to come back to. Two things I noticed. One is you said when your assistant, now director of operations, said, we need a marketing person, you said, okay, find one. You gave it to her to delegate. You didn't say, I'll find one. You gave it to her, which I think if I want the audience to
Yes.
hear that, because when you have someone who is trusted on your team, you will trust them to make a good decision to work for the team. And the other piece of this is you kept a good eye on what had worked for you all along, which was the marketing and branding. And your director of operations clearly understood that too. That was the piece that needed to keep humming to fuel the rest of the business, and understood that she was getting stretched and needed to bring something on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's crazy how your business grows from just hiring the right people. You have to have the right people on your bus, right?
Yeah.
If anybody has ever read The Energy Bus,
Yes.
you have to have the right people on the bus,
Yep.
and then everything works. And core values in your team, culture, you need to constantly keep track of that. One person can ruin a team or make a team. And so that is what we focus on. And that comes from the top too. So I'm going to get her a t-shirt. I am going to get her a t-shirt. Everybody needs a Katie, because she is that person for me, and treats this business, the Paula Clark Group, as if it's our business, basically.
No, she sounds like she is the right person for sure.
Yeah.
When you bring buyer's agents on, what do you do in terms of evaluation for alignment with that culture piece? Do you have like an agent avatar that you hire toward, or what do you do to make sure you're getting someone who is going to be a fit and aligned with what your mission and values are?
The very first thing is that they're a team player, and it's not I. I want to make the deal. It's my deal. It's my buyer. It's, how much commission am I getting paid? No, I want this. I want that. That's not a person who should be on a team. If you can't be open to learning, and you need to be open to learning, you need to be open to coaching, you need to be able to be coached with, I have my coach is Jeff Mays, and you need to be able to listen to Jeff Mays. We have also a sales manager, Jeff Anderson, who works with just the buyer's agents on a weekly basis to make sure they're on their. It just needs another accountability, because I can't always be there. So we have that in place too. They get a lot of help, even from me, in today's market, with offers not getting accepted, for instance. And I sometimes chime in and say, okay, what do we have to do differently here?
Yeah.
And help them.
You have the ability to do that. Yeah. Because you're able to focus in those right spots, and you're still in production, right?
I am. And so I have a plan. And when I get more people that are in the right place with listings, I will, I really do love it. So I think I'm going to be in production versus coming in, listing here and there, but have a main listing partner, a few listing partners, and then kind of get out of it little by little, but always be involved.
Makes sense.
Kind of like the CEO, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which you're positioning yourself well to be. All right. So your current team now, so you've got 12. Does that include the ISAs, VAs, admin, or is that just in-house people?
So we have 10 in-house and 2 VAs.
Okay.
Yes.
And tell me about the structure of the team and kind of how after you got that first hire of the marketing manager, and then it was a single buyer's agent, is that right? And then what happened after that?
So we were doing great. And then there were people that wanted to be on our team. So then we hired Kelly, and Kelly's great. And she's been with me 5 years. Everybody stays with me a pretty long time. And then it kept growing with people that we were meeting that were a good fit for our team. We didn't put an ad out and hire. The agents we have that work with buyers, we happened to attract, and people that we already knew and knew would be a good fit.
Wow. So they came to you. You didn't really pursue anybody.
Exactly. And then there was we have one guy on the team that is, well, two guys. The sales manager is a guy too, but so he is he's great, and he has to be on the team, and he loves it. He can't say enough things about being with us because it's very helpful, because he's also a stay-at-home dad, and so he has to pick up his girls every day from school. So it works well, because also the culture of the team is we honor those that think of family first, and we can make that work, because we are all our second family, right? So family does come first, and I honor that with everybody on my team.
Love it. Love it. All right. So your sales manager, what is his role? What does he do for the team?
So we look at numbers, percentages, conversion. They talk about what they need to do in terms of reaching out, how many times to reach out to a particular buyer. We have a pond that there are so many buyers in, and we had 3,000 buyers in a pond of our system. And he would just pick up the phone and say, okay, you say this person can't be, and then he made an appointment. How many appointments are you going to be getting? What's the dialogue? Does dialogue with them, role playing. All right, why don't you try this? Why don't you text this? Why don't you email this? Double dial, like all these different things. I don't have time to do that on a regular basis. And everybody needs in some way accountability. And so he's that person for them. So I had to hire that person because our conversion rate was lacking.
How did you find him?
Through my son, who is in the business also, Dean. And he was also in the Tom Ferry organization many years ago is how I met him. And he's just, he was an agent, had his own team for many years. And then he went out of production and into consulting with sales teams.
Okay. Interesting. That sounds like a great resource. All right. So all agent attraction, are you planning on growing bigger, or are you going to kind of stay? I know
we're trying to attract a few more buyer's agents.
Okay.
We need another in-house assistant. And I just talked to Katie, and she's saying we need a rental manager. So yes, every now we get we don't have so many rentals, but because we have so many people that come in from those rentals, that can be another avenue that we haven't explored. And then eventually those renters can become buyers.
Right.
So that's another person we need now. So we're looking for 2 more people right now.
That is a great idea. Okay. Wow. You've just grown so beautifully and so successfully. And there is this school of thought that a team between, I think it's like 10 and 22 or something like that, is difficult to manage just because of the number of people. And it's, you kind of are going from it's often like an in-between phase, but it sounds like that it's so well orchestrated that you're running it perfectly. It's fabulous.
Well, I don't know about perfect, because we do have our moments. Nothing is perfect, but it's a constant learning.
Yeah.
And if something's not working, what can we do to fix it?
Yeah. Well, the fact that you've got the loyalty and people there with you as long as you have, especially a marketing managers do not usually stay with companies for very long. So
no, she's fabulous. Yeah, awesome. Tara's great. Yeah, Tara's awesome. Great.
All right, let me ask you about the changing markets that you've been through. And I often equate what happened back in the post 9/11 market to the COVID market, the COVID market was a much bigger quick bounce back, but it was kind of this like national paralysis for a second. And then everyone going, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And then this crazy skyrocket and lots of vacillations and ripples after. What was it that kept you motivated and your eyes on the goal of, helping clients and client attraction? And what would you say to other agents who tend to kind of go, oh, well, the market this, the market that, rather than looking at maybe what they could be doing?
Well, a very interesting thing happened on the day after September 11. I had had a listing appointment. And everybody was so sad. It was really horrible here in New Jersey and New York, because we all had clients and friends that we lost.
Mm.
And I remember calling my seller, and I said, I understand with everything that's happening, maybe we could reschedule. And he said, no, I need to get out of here more than ever.
Mm.
And I said, you know what? It's not what we think that we need from that. It's what is your client, your customer thinking? What do they need? Right? So it's not up to you making your own excuses for why you cannot do something or why the market's not going to work. Like Tom Ferry said at the last team seminar we were in, it's temporary.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is temporary. The market is temporary. But how do you become intentional with your clients? Because it's what they need. Listen to what they need, and then market around that. And you're coming from a place of help, right? You want to help these people. How do you help them?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think not only that, there's a common and eternal truth to this business, which is that human beings need connection. And in times of struggle, crisis, they need connection more than anything. So if you're able to reach out your hand in a way that you have no, interest in the outcome except to help, all of a sudden you see things change in your life.
And that is what we saw as we were hiring more people. And I said to Katie, we looked at our customer service, because from reviews and things, and we saw that we weren't able to service our clients the way we would have wanted to. And why? Because we don't have enough bodies. We don't have enough people. And when we hired more people to take care of client support, of client care, that's when our success grew as well.
Yeah. And keeping that at the forefront is so important. Well, I cannot believe this time. I told you at the beginning the time was going to go so fast, and it has. It's almost 30 minutes already, but I just wanted to look over what we were going to talk about today and make sure. I think we hit a lot of things. Anything else that you want to share, or that you think our audience might really benefit from you letting them know about?
The one thing I would say is for anybody starting out in the beginning, it's a very, it's not impossible, but it does take money. It takes branding. It takes your all. I would suggest joining a good team, a team that has great core values, great culture, that shows success, and that has a really great, the whole aura of the team is positive one, and then coaching. And if you are someone that is working, whether it's individual or with a team, and you're not coaching, you need to get a coach. I don't care what coach. Yeah. I mean, I've had many coaches, and as you know, I know you, as I'm with Tom Ferry, you need to be coached and held accountable. That's the bottom line.
Game changer. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those who have done it, how your eyes open, and you have a whole new community of people to bounce.
The ecosystem is above and beyond. It's the ecosystem. Yep.
Paula, this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Meredith, for thinking of me and having me. I appreciate it.
I'm honored that you're here. And if anyone wants to find you to talk about being part of your team, or to have your assistance buying, selling, renting, how can they find you?
So you can always call or text me at 201-280-0056. I'm in New Jersey. And you can email me at paula@thepaulaclarkgroup.com. No E in Clark.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, Paula, thank you so much again. This has been
Thanks,
wonderful.
Meredith.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been So You Want to Be a Real Estate Agent. We'll see you next time. We are so grateful you joined us today. If you've benefited from the advice we share on the show, we hope you'll tune in to our next episode. Interested in learning more about my personal mentoring programs, our Career Kickstart course, or to pick up a copy of my book, Farming for Real Estate Agents, your step-by-step guide for becoming the go-to agent in your local market? Visit www.meredithfogel.com and click the Resources tab. If you are curious about becoming part of the List Realty family of agents, go to the www.thelistrealty.com website and click Careers from the About Us page, or find me at the Meredith Fogel team on social media. Thank you for listening. This has been So You Want to Be a Real Estate Agent. We'll see you next time.